Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel Drishti IAS English. My name is Pragya and in today's episode of Polity Primer, we are going to discuss a very important and a contentious issue in India. So, the year was 1951 and our constitution was just 1 year old, and through a constitutional amendment, we guaranteed certain factions of the society a constitutional right to reservation. The title of our today's discussion is Caste Based Reservation in India, and in this discussion we will be delving upon the topic of reservations at great details. In this discussion we are going to study about the meaning of this term reservation, We are also going to see the historical background of caste-based reservations in India. We are also going to analyze the constitutional provisions in this regard, and we are also going to see some of the important case laws in this aspect where the reservation system has been scrutinized by our Honorable Supreme Court of India. Then we are also going to talk about a way forward. We need to find an answer to the question, right, that whether we should continue giving these caste-based reservations in India or we should end this. So we'll try to see a way forward that has been devised by our Honorable Parliament and Supreme Court of India. Then in the end we are going to see a practice question for your prelims examination and a practice question for your mains examination. So if I talk about the background of our today's topic, you know that there is a Maratha quota stir that is going on in Maharashtra. And this news talks about that why in India we are so obsessed with the government jobs. So while taking an interview of a person who was training for private skill development, this person came to know, and he is a very respected person that was taking the interview. So the person told him that although I am training for private skill development, but I'll still prefer a government job over this private jobs. The person asked him, why do you prefer a government job over the private job? So he said that I'll be getting more respect in the society, and definitely there will be more job security. So you see the mindset of the new India that we are trying to develop. In new India we are trying to create a level playing field for the private entities. We are talking about manufacturing, made in India programs. We are talking about skill development. So such as the PM Kaushal Yojana, we are talking about entry of private players in every sector, but still our Indian youth is talking about being in the government job. Why? Because the state has still excessive control, and the best possible way to avoid any kind of economic slowdown, any kind of job recession, any kind of unemployment crisis is to be in the state. And this is sadly the reality of most of the middle class families in India, that they are pushing their children to prepare for the government services rather than slugging in the private sector. So this brings us to the question of our today, that the caste-based reservations in India, and how did we get them in the government sector jobs as well as in the educational institutions of India. So firstly, let us understand the meaning of this term reservation. So if I talk about the meaning of the term reservation, reservation is a affirmative action of the state, affirmative action of the state. Of the state, okay. Or you can also say that it is a very positive discrimination policy that we have given to those castes which were marginalized, which are historically have been done wronged by the other group of classes. So we give this positive discrimination to them. And reservation, if I talk about in very simple terms, means reserving of seats for them in government jobs, in educational institution and other such avenues, so that they can be uplifted, so that they can also have a level playing field. Now let us understand the historical background of caste-based reservation system in India. So it begins from the year 1882. when William Hunter and Jyotirao Phule originally conceived this idea. Okay, so in 1882 this idea was originally conceived. Then coming back to the year 1932, and there was this announcement of communal awards by the then British Prime Minister Ramon Magsaysay. So Magsaysay announced this communal awards, and this paved the way for, reserving the seats for marginalized communities in India. The award made provision for separate electorates for Muslims, Sikhs, Indian, Christians, Anglo-Indians, Europeans and the Dalits. So, the communal award definitely was based on a larger perspective of divide and rule policy. Divide and rule policy. Okay. The Britishers never wanted any nationalist sentiment cropping up in our Indians, and that is why they wanted us to be divided on various grounds such as caste, such as creed, such as religion. So they tried us to divide on various grounds, and this communal award was also a manifestation of the divide and rule policy. After long negotiations, Gandhi and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar signed the Pune Pact, where it was decided that there would be a single Hindu electorate with certain reservations in it. So the Mahatma Gandhi was not in favor of this communal award. Although on the other hand, B.R. Ambedkar was in the favor. The Mahatma Gandhi wanted to give separate electorates to the Muslims and Sikh, but he did not want any, further subclassification in the Hindu religion. But the Pune Pact was signed between the B.R. Ambedkar, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and Mahatma Gandhi, and they both came to a common ground that, okay, we'll have a single Hindu electorate, but we'll have reservations in it, and hence this led to the birth of caste-based reservation in India. Because Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was very, vocal about the rights of the Dalits. Because see, we cannot deny that historically they have been discriminated. If you have seen his own movie or own web series based on the life of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, you must have seen that how he was also discriminated being a Dalit, and that is why he adopted Buddhism in the end. So he was very much in favor of granting positive discrimination to those people who are not being adequately represented. Mahatma Gandhi also wanted the same, but he was against this policy of divide and rule, and he was trying to figure it out that, okay, the Britishers are trying to weaken our nationalist sentiments, and they are definitely trying to divide us and rule for even more further centuries. So this was basically, in short, the historical background of the beginning of the caste-based reservation systems in India. Now let us talk about the constitutional provisions related to them. So part 6 of the Indian Constitution, after its adopting, talks about the reservation of the SC/ST seats in the central and the state legislatures. Then we have articles 15 and 16, especially articles 15 clause 4, articles 15 clause 4, article 16 clause 4, and these also talks about the reservation for the backward classes in government jobs. And now we also have reservation for the economically weaker section society, and a new clause has been added in this regard to articles 15 and 16, that is article 15 clause 6 and article 16 clause 6. So this talks about the reservation of seats for the economically weaker sections after the 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act. Then there are article 300 and 332, which talks about the welfare of the backward communities. Then article 243 clause D talks about reservation of the seats for the SC/ST community in the panchayats. Then article 233 clause T talks about the reservation of the seats of the backward classes in the municipalities. Then there is article 335, which casts a obligation on the government of India that whenever you are trying to develop, or whenever you are trying to make the growth of the people, you will definitely consider the SC, ST growth also. You will include them in the national growth. So this article casts a responsibility on the government of India. Our original constitution had only the provisions for reservation for the SC/ST community only. The provision for reservation for the OBC community came into effect in the 1991 after the Mandal Commission report. Now we have reservations not only for the SC/ST community, OBC community, but for the economically weaker section of society as well after the 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act. Now let us understand some of the important case laws and the opinion of our Honorable Supreme Court in these case laws. So the first and the foremost case law or a landmark case law is the State of Madras versus Srimati Champakam Dorai Rajan. This case law is a very landmark case law, and this paved for the first Constitutional Amendment Act 1951. After this only, this case law only, the first Constitutional Amendment Act of 1951 was enacted. So, in this case law, the constitutional validity of Article 16 Clause 4 was challenged. Okay. The Supreme Court in this case pointed out that while in the case of employment under the state, Article 16 Clause 4 provides for reservation in favor of backward class of citizens. No such provision was made in Article 15. So what happened in this case was there was this order of reservation granted by the Madras government. The Madras High Court rejected that order, and the Supreme Court affirmed the decision of the Madras High Court that Article 15 basically talks about equality of opportunity. So the court stated that definitely Article 16 Clause 4 makes specific provisions about reservation of the backward classes, but there is no such provision under Article 15, and that is why the Parliament came up with the first Constitutional Amendment Act, and it added Article 15 Clause 4 in our Indian Constitution, which also talks about welfare of the socially and economically backward classes, and which gives them reservations in the government job. So if you ask me the essence of this case, in this case, the Supreme Court rejected the reservation system. Now, moving forward further, we had the Mandal Commission case, or the very important case that shaped up the reservation system in India today. And this case is known as the Indira Sohni versus Union of India case. As I was explaining to you before also, the OBC reservation came into effect in 1991 after the recommendations of the Mandal Commission. So the court in this case has said that the creamy layer of OBCs should be excluded from the list. Kindly note this fact that the creamy layer concept has been evolved in this case only. And in this case, the Supreme Court has stated that creamy layer should not be given benefit of the reservation system. Okay, there should not be reservation in promotion. Reservation in promotion we will discuss in a separate video. I'll explain it in detail. The aftermath of the Nagaraj versus Union of India case and the observations of the Supreme Court in the Jarnail Singh case. So we'll discuss reservation in promotion in a separate video. And this case also provided us with the existing 50% ceiling on reservation. Okay, so the 50% ceiling on reservation was evolved from this case. So this is a very important landmark case, and most of the reservation policies that we have today is a manifestation of this decision of the Supreme Court in India. Now let us see a way forward in this regard. See, many of the critics, there is an ongoing debate, okay, that is the reservation system actually viable in India? Should we continue giving this caste-based reservation system in India, or we should stop them? Because definitely people are, arguing against it on the basis of merits and efficacy. And so there is an ongoing debate, especially after the Maratha quota stir, about the viability of reservation system in India. Okay, so some of the way forwards to improve the reservation system in India can be conducting of a census. Many political parties demand that we should conduct a census so as to figure out that what is the population that is actually backward in India. Because what is happening, the reservation system is not reaching to the ground roots level. The people who require it the most are deprived from it. Who is enjoying? The elite class. There is a concept of elitism. Elitism. And this concept is very deeply rooted. And that is why the Supreme Court has time and again said that creamy layer should not be, granted the benefits of reservation system in India. So conducting of a census has become even more important. Okay. Exclude creamy layer from reservation benefits. As I have explained to you before, the Honorable Supreme Court in a case, not only in the Indira Sahani case, but also in the latest judgment of the Jarnail Singh case, has said that creamy layer should not be included in the reservation. In fact, not only the Supreme Court talks about the creamy layer of OBCs, it also talks about bringing creamy layers in SCs and STs. There is no concept of creamy layer in SCs and STs. Okay, they as a tribe, as a clan only, as a community only are considered to be educationally and socially backward. Our constitution mentions this term, socially and economically backward classes. Okay, so this whole community as a whole is considered to be socially economically backward class. There is absolutely no concept of creamy layer in the SC/ST community. But the Supreme Court has specifically in the Jarnail Singh case has stated that you need to introduce the concept of creamy layer in the SC/ST community as well. Why? Because the reservation, as I was talking about, is not reaching to the ground roots level. It is okay to treat unequals as equals. Okay, because you need to bring them to a level playing field, but you also need to examine that who is actually receiving the benefits of your policy, receiving the actual benefits of your positive affirmation action policy. So the state should really figure out, and as has been opined by the Supreme Court in the M. Nagaraj case, definitely there should be a quantifiable data to demonstrate the backwardness of a community, because it is still decided by the state governments that whether whom they want to include in the OBC list. So this judgment, although the central government has asked the Supreme Court to reconsider it, but as per the opinion of Supreme Court, there needs to be a quantifiable data regarding backwardness of a community to grant them reservation. Then there is education reforms. The Supreme Court in the EWS quota judgment is talking about education reforms. It is saying that reservation is not the only solution. It cannot go on for an indefinite period. Okay, you need to reform them. You need to reform firstly the thinking of the society. Supposedly we end reservations today. Okay, do you think our Hindu community will not discriminate against them? Do you think that we'll accept them in a way we should accept them? We'll accept them apart from their caste identity? We'll include them as our brethren? Well, till the day we are not able to do this, reservation is here to stay. Okay, because no matter how much you deny this fact or how much you say that this is not true, they have already, are uplifted, but yes, they have been historically wronged. So firstly, we need to change the thinking of our society. We need to include them, follow a more inclusive, efforts towards them. We also need to bring in educational reforms. Okay, we need to provide them educational opportunities, employment opportunities, and every such opportunity that a privileged class of society is getting in this society. And that is how slowly we'll be able to uplift them in true sense. It is essential to strike a balance between social justice and maintaining a level playing field to ensure a fair and inclusive society without compromising effectiveness and merit. So the critics of the reservation system often argue that it is definitely, destroying the merit of the country. But the Supreme Court has specifically said in the EWS quota judgment that merit is not only confined to cracking one government exam or to opening the gate of just one government exam. Merit can be examined on various levels, such as educational level, such as intellectual level, such as other such levels, and till the day we are not going to provide them inclusivity, the reservation system is here to stay. And I agree, like the Supreme Court also agrees that reservation system does need a reform. So kindly let me know in the comment box below that what are the reforms that the reservation system, in the reservation system, you people can think about. Okay, so this was the some of the way forwards, like bringing in a reform in the reservation system. With this, we come to a conclusion of our today's discussion. We have seen what is the meaning of the term reservation. We have also seen the historical background of the caste-based reservation system in India. We have also seen the constitutional provisions, the case laws, and a way forward for reforming the current reservation system in India. Now let us discuss a practice question for your prelims examination. So the question is, consider the following statements. Reservation system is the affirmative action policy of the government. Then your statement number 2 is Article 15 and 16 provide for caste-based reservations in India. Which of the following statements given above are correct? Your options are: option A is 1 only, option B is 2 only, option C is both 1 and 2, and option D is neither 1 nor 2. Kindly drop your answers in the comment box below. Now let us analyze a practice question for your mains examination. So the question is, discuss the opportunities and challenges associated with reservation system in India. So firstly, you will write the reservation system in India. You will talk about the meaning of the term reservation. You will talk about its historical background of the caste-based reservation system, as I have discussed in my lecture today. Then you will talk about the opportunities that is creating for the marginalized section of the society. They are getting representation in the central level, at the state level, in the government job, education. So this is definitely helping in uplifting them and granting them a level playing field. Then you will write about the challenges, that 50% ceiling is there as per the Indra Sohani judgment, but this 50% ceiling is also being talked about, breaching this 50% limit. So is it fair? Is it like you can question, you can frame questions that is it fair? Because the Supreme Court has already said that we cannot grant reservation for an indefinite period. So is it fair? Will it not compromise the merit if we breach this 50% ceiling? So all of the factors you can write and conclude holistically that reservation per se is not wrong. Okay, it is a very important affirmative action policy of the state, but it definitely needs reforms. We need to rethink our criteria for granting reservations in India. So you can conclude very holistically after stating various facts and figures. I hope this session was insightful for you. If you have any feedback regarding the session, kindly drop it in the comment box below. If you found today's discussion to be helpful, kindly like the video and subscribe to our channel for more such updates. Thank you.